Hey, what's up? What's up? What's going on, everybody? This your girl Tiffany here, live in effect. Live in effect. Let me see. What's up, AGS soldier? You already know what the business is. You always on deck. You always on deck. Shout out to everybody that's been subscribing, supporting my channel. I really want to appreciate that. What's up? Thank y'all for coming through. So today I want to get on the subject about Matilda McCrear. So the reason why I'm focusing on this matter is because her story needs to be told. And people don't know about the state of Alabama. You know, Alabama is one of the few states that has a very close cultural ties to African history and just Central West Africa in general. There was a town in Alabama called Africa Town, okay, located near Mobile, Alabama. All right, so Matilda's story started off with she's a Yoruba woman. Okay, she was from the Yoruba tribe, and she was brought on the Cotilda ship. She and Cujo Lewis were one of the few slaves that was still around in the 40s, giving an account, telling their stories of what it was like dealing with slavery, etc. Now, slavery had ended around the 1800s, right? However, people were still bringing slaves from Africa to America illegally. And this is why it's important for us as African Americans to know this history, because you never know who your descendants are. You never know who you are connected to. You never know what towns or area neighborhoods were named after African places or cities. So today I want to share some sources, and I want to share the one from Wikipedia. And I know some of y'all may feel some kind of way about Wikipedia. That's fine. I get it. Boom. I understand. So Matilda McCrear, she was born Abake and was the last known survivor in the United States of the transatlantic slave trade and the ship Cotilda. She was a Yoruba who was captured and brought to Mobile County, Alabama, at the age of 2 with her mother and older sister. Now, the girls were sold away from their mother and never reunited, together with other American slaves in territory now occupied by the Union in the South. Matilda was granted freedom by the Emancipation Proclamation of 1863. She and her family did not achieve freedom until after the de jure abolition of slavery in 1865. She continued to be a sharecropper as an adult and had a family of 14 children with a white German-born American common law husband. She died in Selma, Alabama. All right. So let's go further down to see what part of Africa was she from. So basically it says that she was captured in West Africa with her mother and sister by the army of the West African Kingdom of Dahomey. So more than likely she came from the area of Nigeria, which had attacked their home. The Dahomeans transported their prisoners to Awuda, a coastal port for slave trading. Captain William Foster of the Cotilda, the last known slave ship to have carried captives from Africa to the United States, later arrived in Awuda and transported 100 slave Africans, including McCrear, to the United States illegally. The U.S. prohibited the Atlantic slave trade in 1808 with the act prohibiting importation of slaves. All right. So, writing in his journal in 1860, Foster described how the enslaved Africans came aboard his ship. From thence I went to see the king of Dahomey. Having agreeably transacted affairs with the prince, we went to the warehouse where they had in confinement 4,000 captives in a state of nudity, from which they gave me liberty to select 125 as my offering to brand them for me, from which I peremptorily forbid comest taking taking on cargo of Negroes, successfully securing on board 110. Hmm, interesting. So McCrear was a member of the Yoruba people. She received the traditional facial scars, which were visible for the rest of her life. When she was 2 years old, McCrear, her mother Gracie, and sister Sally, as they were named in the United States, were captured and brought by a planter. They were among more than 100 Africans transported in the 1860 on the Cotilda. All right. So she had two other sisters whose names are not known, and a stepfather, Guy. So in her 70s, McCrear made a legal claim for compensation for her enslavement, which was dismissed. According to Durkin, she appears to have continued to have worn her hair in a traditional Yoruba style all her life. In January 1940, McCrear fell ill after a stroke. She died January 13 in Selma, Dallas County, Alabama, at the age of 83. All right. So here are the references at the bottom of the page if you guys want to look into more information and details about this woman. And then you can also look at the list of the last surviving American slaves. And you got the external links. And that's about it. So I know some of you out there get ready to jump on your bandwagon and say, well, see, that's what I'm talking about. This is why I don't claim to be African, because our ancestors sold us into slavery. True enough, they did. Absolutely. There were those who did play their part in slavery, but that does not take away your descendant. It doesn't take away your bloodline. It doesn't take away your ancestry. You are who you are, regardless. You are who you are. And if it wasn't for those African people, you wouldn't be where you are today. So you can sit here and deny your ancestry all you want to because of the account about transatlantic slave trade, regarding to those Africans who was involved as far as selling the slaves is concerned. If you let that be your reason why you don't claim your African ancestry, then that's fine. That's on you, because you living in a state of denial. Let's see. So I can also show you another website you can find this information, right? So this is Al Jazeera, right? So Al Jazeera, I think they're located somewhere in the Middle East, or even in the Middle East, or somewhere in Northeast Africa. Don't quote me on this. But anyways, they are a news website, and they also have a channel on YouTube where they really go into a lot about ancient history, current events, modern history, etc. So this is a picture right here of Matilda. This is her as an older lady. Okay. So if you guys want to read more You can go on this is aljazaria.com. Again, Al Jazaria, and you can look up remembering Matilda, the last survivor of the transatlantic slave trade. Okay. Let me see something. What y'all gotta say over here? Hey, what's going on, Lions Times, baby? It's been a minute. I haven't seen you in a while. I hope everything going well with you, brother. But you know what? And also, I want to share some books. I want to share some books with you guys that goes into the history of Africa Town, okay, in Alabama. So let me post it up. Let me post this book up for you guys. All right, so this book right here, it is called Africa Towns, America Last Ship and the Community It Created by Nick Tober. So let's go to the table of contents. Hmm. All right, so you see it says Lions of Lions, they'll hang nobody, caravan, Bakukuns, arrival in wartime. Right, to have land, white supremacy by force and fraud, progress, progressivism for white men only in Renaissance. All right, so let's look into this. Now let's go to where it says Barakuns. So Ouda was one of the most heavily, let me see, trying to see if I can highlight this as I'm reading. Uh, mm, okay, but never mind. All right, there we go. So Ouda was one of the most heavily trafficked slave ports on the African coast between the 1670s and the day in May of 1860 when William Foster steered his ship into the nearby harbor. Hundreds of slave ships came and went from the city carrying more than 1 million captives. Together, those prisoners made up 51% of the enslaved people who departed from the Bay of Benin in the Gulf of Guinea. Only Luanda, a city down the coast in Angola, shipped out more. Statistically, one in every 10 enslaved people who were sent to the United States started their transatlantic journey in this port. All right, so let's go further down. And it says on the afternoon when Foster arrived, a All right. On the afternoon when Foster arrived, a large canoe came out to meet him. The captain managed to convey that he come to trade and needed to speak with the authorities. As he was ferried to the shore, he was impressed at how the men steering the canoe, about 20 natives by his estimate, darted through the waves like fish. Most likely, these men were professional, not natives at all, but instead migrants from the Gold Coast. Their job was extraordinarily dangerous. Besides the rolling sea, they had to contend with sharks who often trailed behind their boats and sometimes trumped, or is it shrimp or I don't know what that word is, shrimp or trump. Anyways, From onshore, it was so common to hear the screams of capsized canoe handlers and their passengers that another visitor in 1871 would call it a belt of death. Right? So that's this piece of information. Hold on, let me see something. I think I just saw something. All right, let's go to another chapter in this book. So I just want to give you guys a little preview. All right, so let's go up here, go back to the chapter. Let's go to the table of content. Let's look at arrival. And it says West African was susceptible to violence, nauseated at sea. That was the conclusion drawn by Alexander Falconbridge, a British doctor who worked on 4 transatlantic slave voyages during the 1780s. The hardship and the inconveniences suffered by the Negroes are scarcely to be enumerated or conceived. He wrote in 1788 after he had joined the abolitionist movement, they are far more violently affected by seasickness than the Europeans. It frequently terminates in death, especially among the young women. To be sure, these comments reflect a view dominant in Dr. Era that there were major biological differences between black and white people. This was part of the theoretical infrastructure that had been developed to justify slavery, but it could be hard for even white abolitionists to get beyond it. At the same time, there's no reason to doubt that in general, African captives were more prone to seasickness than their white overseers, if only because they weren't accustomed to maritime life. All right. And that's pretty interesting. Only because, our people, they're more accustomed to like the tropics. You know what I'm saying? They're more accustomed to like being out there in the sun than being in the water all day long or, traveling by water. So, um, but it's an interesting point that was made about the biological difference between European and blacks because there is a biological difference in us. All right. The way you can learn that is studying epigenetics. If you want to study epigenetics and get into details about that, you will learn that for yourself. All right. So now let's look up where it says African town, 1865 to 1935. All right. So where it says on July the 4th of 1865, right? 3 months after the Union Army in the Mobile, the free people in town threw a celebration. They clustered in the parks and listened to speeches by black leaders who urged them to work hard and be patient. The main event was a parade where 6,000 men and women marched in columns through the downtown streets, wearing their finest clothing. It's possible no civilian in Mobile, black or white, had ever seen so many African Americans gather in one place. To Ann Quickly, the principal of a white secondary school, seeing this gorgeous city, this very momentum to the this very monument to the cotton trade overtaken by the free people seemed a sight calculated to strike horror into every southern heart. But with 2 regiments of black troops flanking the crowd, carrying bayonets and rifles, there was nothing resentful whites could do to stop it. Of course. Let me see if it talks about Africa town. Mhm. Let's look under real sun. Mhm. Now, if you notice when you if you ever get a chance to get this book, you're gonna see that they're gonna talk more about Cujo Lewis than they do about Matilda. Hmm. All right. So, but I encourage you guys to check this book out. Again, it's called Africa Town, America's Last Slave Ship, and the community it created by Nick Tober. Hold on. Oh, what happened? Hold on, my screen done. Okay, I'm sorry, but my screen done froze up on me. I don't know what just happened. Do you know if the early slave Atlantic slave trade was more Mende or another tribe later close to the end of more Yoruba? I think I'm not sure, but if I was to guess, it probably was more Mende and the Fulani and Wolof tribe. I would say I'm guessing that, but I can't tell you exactly if it was more Mende or another tribe. But if I was to give a guess, it would probably be more Mende and maybe like more Fulani and more Wolof because in the beginning, that's where in the very beginning of the transatlantic slave trade, it was like mostly Senegambia area, and not only Senegambia but also the Congo area, Angola area as well. But that would be my guess. Now later, I would say that it was more close to the Igbo tribe than Yoruba, because what you'll learn is later on that a lot of Igbo people were brought over here to the Atlantic. If you look up about the Igbo landing, right, it was a lot of Igbo people out here. So I would say that it would be like more towards the Igbo people than the Yoruba people. And then again, I could be wrong, and I would like, I mean, if I'm wrong, then I'll, what I'm saying, I'll stand corrected. But I think that it was ended more towards the Igbo people than the Yoruba. But we have a combination. If you guys study the DNA, right, you will learn that we all have a combination of the Yoruba and Igbo descent in us. You know, but if you ever, especially if you look on ancestry, you'll see that a lot of Igbo is inside your DNA. Why is that? Because it was a lot of Igbo people brought over here. So doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Let's go to the next source. Sourcey source. See what other source I can find for you. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Wait. Mm. All right, so I'm waiting for another source to come through. Let me see. Jib says more Yoruba in Latin America. You know what? I believe it. It could be a possibility. It could be a possibility. So I wouldn't deny it. I wouldn't say that it wasn't no Yoruba people in Latin America, because I could believe that be a possibility. Okay, nice. I haven't done much research on it, but my DNA mostly Yoruba and Isan. Okay. So yeah, a lot of people have some Yoruba in them, and also uh Igbo and other tribes that I never heard of. So what I'll have to do is I'll go back to my ancestry, and I can pull up the name of the tribes that came up out of the Nigeria area, right? And then we can go from there. We can look into them and go from there. So I want to share this information though. Mm. Go ahead. All right, so this book right here is called The Survival of Cotilda. All right. Let me get this off of here. This comment off of here. All right, so here's a map actually. So it's a map to show you the hominy, the Oyo. Let's see what else. Um, so yeah, basically it shows you the area. So right here, Togo, Benin, Nigeria, all up in that region. See, Ayuda, right? And it shows you how many slaves was transported from this region, right? And they were transported over to Mobile, Alabama. Okay. So give you the map, a Union Free State, Union Slave States, right? These are the slave states, the ones that's highlighted. And let's see, what else? The Confederate States. So all of this was the Confederate States right here. All of it. All right. So what you see where it says unorganized territory, this is Oklahoma. And right here where it says unorganized territory is Oklahoma. Okay. But yep, all of this. This is what is called the Confederate States. So remember, at one point in time, the North was the United States and the South was considered the Confederate States of America. Okay. All right. So you see Africa Town right there in Mobile, Alabama area, right here on the map. Africa Town. Okay. All right. So this is the list of the Cotildas Africans. Okay. Drowned at sea. It give you a list. And it says unnamed Takar boy, cousin of Matilda McCrear. All right. Oh, you see all the lists. All right. So right here, let's go into it. Let's go back. It says the male and female warriors who stole the liberty and destroyed the town of those trafficked to the United States on the slave ship Cotilda launched their assault before dawn. The townsfolk were taken by surprise and had no time to defend themselves against the Fon warriors from the kingdom of Dahomey and regional power. Yeah, regional power located in present day Benin. Some of the town's farmers keen to complete their labors before they grew hot on that midday in April of 1860. All right. So, and then it goes on to say, Cotilda Captain's hometown, Takar, was wiped off the face of the earth by Fon warriors that mid April morning. It does not appear on any map, but Kosula placed it in the heart of Yoruba land, the cultural home of the Yoruba people that comprised present-day southwest Nigeria and extends into Benin and Togo. And it says 2 years before his death in 1935, Kosula told a Yoruba-speaking missionary that his home was about 75 miles from Ab, was it Abikuta, the capital of Ogun State in southwest Nigeria, and a metropolis whose population of 110,000 rivaled that of Chicago, and then the United States' ninth biggest city. He also said that he traveled many times to on was it Agobomosho, a city of 70,000 people in neighboring Oyo State, and told Harper's Monthly magazine that he and his wife Abel were from Winnie. And it says the survivor of Cotilda will always remember their lost homeland as a paradise. Bananas introduced long ago by the Eastern traders, pineapples recently imported from the West, and innumerous melons were so abundant in the forests around their town that the air was thick with the aroma. Right? Know how we find the fruits? By the smell. Kosula explained of the fruit hunting game he played as a child. Polly Allen, a man whose round face was punctuated by deep set, expressive eyes and whose hair and goatee beard stayed dark even into old age, told the same stories of material abundance to his children. He would always tell us how the climate was so warmer in Africa and the soil was so much better. He always said he wanted to go back so bad. Polly's daughter, Clara Eva Bell Allen Allen Jones, recalled, I've never seen my daddy eat. I've never seen my daddy ever eat a banana or an orange. I think maybe it make him homesick. Mm. Then it goes on to say Abache, who was kidnapped alongside her sister Uruba, described in a soft, slow voice and expressive physical gestures the peaceful home life she enjoyed as a child. Her townfolk were highly successful farmers whose labors were aided by incredibly fertile landscape. Abache described how the men tilled the ground to plant yams and rice, and how the women trade harmlessly with other ethnic groups. Oh, but I thought that other ethnic groups didn't get along with each other. Wait a minute. Now here it is right here. She says how the women traded harmlessly with other ethnic groups. So people fell into the idea that other ethnic groups out there did not get along with each other. They were like fighting with each other and they had some type of beef. Not all ethnic groups had beef with one another. Not all ethnic groups fought each other. All right. There was those who actually worked side by side and they intermarried. So when we look at the Hausa and the Fulani, for example, they intermarried with each other. Okay. These groups are at one point in time, but they intermarried. So not all tribal groups have beefs or they have ops or they fight with each other all the time. Not all of them do that. And yes, I agree. Some African tribes still do. Some African tribes still do. Some some do, but not all of them. So we was led to believe that all the African tribes were beefing with each other. They were fighting with each other. Not always the case. Hell, you even had those that were in the same tribe, within the same tribe of each other, and they were at odds. They were fighting against each other. They were doing conniving things. So it wasn't always those from the outside, it was also those from the inside too. So if you had somebody that was greedy, especially, and they were looking a way to gain profits and resources, right? What they're going to do, they're going to beef. They're going to try. to find a way to take one another out just for the purpose of making profits. Correct? So yes, brother, I do agree that some tribes still have beef to this day. I do. But then there are those who don't look to be at odds with each other. Okay, let me go back to this source. All right, let me go back here. Let me pull it up. And then also the sister explained, trying to see. Let me see. So I'm gonna get this off of here. Mm. All right, so maybe I can't zoom it all the way in, but it says, I lived in clean village. I was much happy. My people weaved cloth from grass, bathed in sunshine and river. No fights, no beatings, no killings. We lived together like one family. Rodishi stressed of the childhood that brutally ended when she was 12 years old. As fellow child captive Kanko, a small light skinned woman with a facial mark on her right cheek, explained to her children and grandchildren the standard of living was high in her hometown. Like other African society, Takar was not beholden to capitalistic notions of land ownership that regarded land as commodity. The town's ruler, whose name was recorded variously as Adbaku, Ibaku, and Akabana, and who Rodishi remembered as a good man, was the custodian of the land in his territory, which was communally owned and split between kinship groups and handed down the generation. Each family had access to its own portion of land, which could not be sold. See, now we don't get the account from the people themselves. Okay. These are coming from people who actually lived the life in West Africa. All right. They told their stories around the 30s of what it was like growing up in Africa as children, what they encountered. Now it goes down to say the planting season began in February. The town's menfolk cleared weeds from the rust-colored earth with cutlass, knives, and axes. They used short-handed hoes and bill hooks to prepare the ground for sowing. The earth was bountiful, and there was no need for fertilizer or plows. They planted yams in February and then corn, groundnuts, and melons in April and May. After the August harvest, they planted new crops of corns, beans, and groundnuts in September. Yams were a major crop in Oyo State, and Takar's yams grew so big, 2 feet long and 6 inches wide, according to one regional eyewitness account, that no one could eat a single yam in one sitting. We go away, we come back. Push, dig the dirt. Great bean, yam like kid, nail kid. We cut off vine with little piece of yam and cover it up again. Another big yam. Whole family couldn't eat at one time. For 7 years, don't need no new seed. It keep making yams. Kasula explained. Yams were eaten in manifold ways. Their starchy white flesh could be turned into elubo, added to stews, roasted or boiled and crushed with a pestle, or is it pestle? Yeah, pestle and matar to make iyan, which is pounded yam. The townsfolk extracted palm oil and beer from the fruit of palm trees and wove cloth cloth from its leaves. The women owned and raised cows, pigs, chicken, goat, and sheep for a profit, which they kept in the inner circle of their household to protect them from predators. Nobody ever go hungry. Nobody ever go cold. Kasula declared of his homeland at the end of his life. Children like Polly learned a craft from their parent and became proficient in that skill by the age of 16. He and other male Cotilda survivors exiled to Mobile was so good at woodwork that they handmade toys for their children and built and sold their own furniture. That's powerful information right there. That's powerful information. And if you guys want to read this book, the title of this book is called Survivors of Cotilda by Hannah Durkin. Survivors of Cotilda. Oh God. Okay, wait a minute. Right, there we go. So now let's go and let me look up my ancestry real fast since I'm here. Let me go into my DNA. Let me see. Results. Righty. All right, so now I want to show you guys my information regard to my lineage, right? Let me get on here and share my origin. All right, so it says early Alabama and Georgia African Americans. You and other people with this journey are linked through shared ancestors. You probably have family who lived in this area for years, and maybe some of your relatives still do. All right, so let's look at the timeline. Maybe I can view the timeline on here. Walk through here. Um, all right, so let's look at life on cotton plantation. So the profitability of cotton in the South drove the expansion of slavery through South Carolina, Georgia, and Alabama, often onto lands the U.S. government seized from indigenous people. All right. To maximize cotton production, enslavers kept track of the labor of each enslaved person and punished those who did not meet quotas. One way enslaved people survived continuous exploitation and violence was by forming families. Although slave marriages were denied, legal enslaved people organized ceremonies in their own community to celebrate their unions. Enslaved mothers and fathers understood that any children they brought into the world were property of their enslavers. This created painful paradox. Their children were both beloved family members and valuable commodities controlled by others. All right, so this comes from early Alabama and Georgia African Americans, right? Let me go back and let's see. Let me. I don't have no Japanese in me. I doubt that. He put. I think you a fourth Japanese. I doubt that. I doubt that. I seriously doubt that. Let me see. Now, right here, you're gonna see what say Georgia, coastal plain to Central Florida, African Americans. That's where my roots is at. Yes, when we talk about the African in the diaspora, right here in America. Okay, let me see what else. Let me go back to early Alabama because I thought I saw some. Let me go to where it said Georgia, Southeast, Piedmont. Let's see something. Maybe. Hmm. All right. So, all right, but yeah, but my roots go to early Alabama, Georgia, and etc. Right over here. You can see it right there, Alabama, Georgia, all up in there. Now let's go to the regions. All right, so let's look over here. My ancestry right here. Nigerian, Benin, Togo, and Mali, Ivory Coast, Ghana. So I do have 30% Nigerian in me, 17% Benin and Togo, right? So let's look at the ethnic groups in Nigeria. All right, so you got Isan, Adoma, Ibibio, Igbo, Yoruba, and Mamule. Let's see. Let's go over here to where it says Yoruba real quick. So since we on the subject about Matilda, who happens to be a Yoruba woman, let's see what they talk about. All right. So right here it says Yoruba, Iran, Yoruba. The Yoruba, Iran, Yoruba make up one of Nigeria's largest ethnic groups. Parts of this community have previously been known as Nago, Anago, Lukimi, or Lukimi, and or Aku. They reside mainly in southwestern Nigeria, including Nigeria's most populous city, Lagos, with smaller population in Benin and Togo. Together, this area is called Yoruba land. As a result of the transatlantic slave trade, there are also diasporic Yoruba communities in the United States, Brazil, and the Caribbean, where Yoruba culture has evolved and blended into syncretic beliefs and practices. The cultural and spiritual homeland of the Yoruba is the Nigerian city of Ile Ife, said to be the site of the creation of the world. The Yoruba are recognized for their artistic skills in wood carving, bronze casting, and drumming. All right, so here's the population, and the primary language is Yoruba, and the language family is Niger Congo, Atlantic Congo, Volta Congo, and etc. All right, so hmm, What just happened here? Do-do-do-do-do-do. All right, so um, let's play a video real quick. Let me see what this video is about. Hmm. No, it's not 23 Me. It's Ancestry. It's Ancestry, not 23 Me. Let me play this video because it's very interesting. Hold on.
And this Yanibo. So wọ́n jọ ń ṣe ọ̀rẹ́. So Yanibo ó wá ṣe àṣàrò sórí iná. So sẹ́gbọ́n ó ṣe àṣàrò sórí iná. Nígbà ó ṣe àṣàrò sórí iná, àjàpá wá wá lọ. Nígbà àjàpá wá lọ, bí jàpá sá ṣe kọ́kọ́ ṣe nígbà tí ń wá lọ, ó rí àṣàrò lórí iná. Ojú rẹ̀ ti mú àṣàrò yẹn. Ó sá lọ kí ọ̀rẹ́ rẹ̀.
What happened between tortoise and Yanibo? They both belong to almost the same class of animal family. So one day, the tortoise went to visit his friend Yanibo in the house. So before he reached his place, outside he saw that there is a very delicious porridge that is being cooked by Yanibo. So the tortoise eyes was already in that delicious porridge. So when he now met his friends, they were discussing. The friend is not talking about the food, and the friend is not even offering tortoise the food, or even pretending as if he's not cooking. So as they talk, as they finish talking, the friend was saying, would tortoise not go? So along the way, the friend asked, okay, may him and tortoise go to somewhere. So immediately the friend went inside to dress. Tortoise quickly went, removed his cap, and put small porridge inside the cap and used it to cover his head. So when the friend now came out, that time the head of the tortoise is already getting hot. He was hurrying the friend that they should go, they should go. The friend said, oh, he forgot something again. Let him go inside and pick it up. So when he went inside, the pain was too much for the tortoise to bear. So that's how the tortoise now removed the cap from his head. That time all his head has already peeled off and it's not like a model. So when the friend now returned, the friend saw him. I was like, so tortoise, you were stealing my porridge. He said, when you didn't offer me the porridge to eat, that till today, that's why tortoise head is like molo. That's why he did not have something on his head.
That's a very interesting video. Basically, they're telling the story about the Yoruba folktale on here. So I thought I just wanted to go ahead and share that with y'all. Let's see. Let's go to another one. So let's look up Igbo. I'm trying to find Igbo. Oh, Igbo. Oh, So let's look at the Igbo people. Now, what is about the Igbo? It says the Igbo people, also known as Igbo or Hebo, are also are among the largest society in Africa that deliberately avoided organizing centralized states in favor of more localized government. They reside primarily in Nigeria's Abia, Anambra, Ebonyi, and Enugu and Imo states. There is also an Igbo diaspora in other parts of West Africa, as well as North America and Europe. Due to its size and diaspora nature, the Igbo population is diverse, right? But traditional Igbo culture can be recognized in music, literature, and spirituality. Masks, often employed in dances and religious ritual, play a significant role. The traditional Igbo religion, known as Odinani, recognized as a supreme deity called Chukwuwu, as well as several other spirits in Igbo community today. Odinani is often infused with Christian practices and vice versa. All right, so let's go into the history of the Igbo people. All right, so let's go into the Igbo.
My names are Ikechukwu John and I'm here to talk about the history of how the Igbo people began. First of all, there is a community in Igbo land called the Inri. The name Inri came from the great grandparenthesis of the Igbos. Uh, there is a belief that he migrated somewhere from the former land of Timbuktu and began to trace his way, looking for a place for settlement before he finally came to a kingdom called Unri. And then that is where he settled and began to give birth to children. And then that is how the Igbos began to diversify from there to one community, from community to state, and so on. So from Timbuktu, what made them begin to spread? Actually, we are made to understand that he, being in the land of Timbuktu, former land of Timbuktu, they also came from somewhere and settled in Timbuktu, but there was no water, and because the animals they have at that time were dying and there was no source of water to be able to help the animals to survive. And then issue of famine, the aspect of rainfall was too low, so he has to move away from there to the present place called Inri local government.
All right, so that's the history of the Igbo people. That's the history of the Igbo people. Now let's go into what Mr. Liontime's baby is talking about, which is the Esan. Or let's go into the Esan people. Go back. All right. So the Isan, or also known as Ishan, live primarily in southern Nigeria where they speak Isan, language related to other Volta Niger languages such as Igbo, and Yoruba. They are traditionally known as hunters, agriculturalists, cultivating palm trees, cola nuts, mazi, and yams. They are said to have unified into one group in the 15th century when they migrated from the nearby Benin Empire to form their own governing bodies. Music, dance, and folklore are integral to Isan and include instruments like the agogo bell and the highly abracaded, what's it called? Well, I don't know what this is, but the apricot dance performed by boys and young men. All right. Let's see what we can find here. Ah, so they part of the Nago family, they all part of the Congo family, right? The language family. But let's see what we can find over here. The school children singing, soccer, or Isan festival. Let's look at the festivals. Let's see what they're talking about here. All right. So a Kobe, a Isan man, describes two of his people's annual festival, Ujibo, or is it Ujibo and Yubi. Let's see what they talking about. Oh, let me post the video up. I'm sorry about that. Let me share my screen. All right. So now let me go to the beginning. Let me go to the beginning.
Up till now, we still have the festival.
Okay, so what are the festivals and how do they celebrate?
Good. We have number one festival. Like in my place, we have Ugbeho. That Ugbeho is like there's a stream in my village. Every year we celebrate that stream. We will just clear the road to the stream. We we dance to the stream. People will cook food and eat. Generally, that stream, it can only step you here. It doesn't harm any person. You will see snake inside the scene. Nobody kill the snake. That's where we call that one. The another one again, Ubi Festival, just like a New Year festival. We always had in October, so November, every year. That one we dance generally. So people can disguise themselves. Some can dress like a masquerade. So that even put pot in their heads, there will be smoke in the pot. All those things are just camouflage packaging to celebrate the Ubi Festival. And that Ubi Festival is still existing today.
So what's the significance of that festival?
It's just like one is an inheritance from the parents, and we met it's a just to make the community. It's like when you have new yam, when you dig a new yam,
Harvest.
you harvest. You have to make feast for it. Say now we want to eat this new yam. That's what we celebrate.
So basically, in this video, he describing two festivals that is celebrated in the Eastern culture. All right, let's go and let's look up another tribe. There's another tribe, another tribe, another tribe. What tribe I want to look into? Let's look at the Idoma. What's the Idoma tribe? All right, so Idoma lives primarily in Benue State, Nigeria, but also inhabit the states of Taraba, Cross River, Enugu, Kogi, and Nasarawa. They are governed locally by a chief known as the Ochi Doma, who is appointed to rule for life. Many Idoma engage in fishing or farming, cultivating crops such as yams, taro, and oil palm. Harvest periods are associated with celebration and sharing food with neighbors. A popular Idoma dish is okoho soup made from the okoho plant and bush meat, typically served with yams. Many celebration also features music and dance, including the energetic Algerina dance. All right. So let's look at the Doma history. So Alice John and Idoma Man recount his people's history and migration. All right, let's listen to him.
My name is Alex John. I'm a Doma by tribe. Uh, what I know about Idoma people, according to the history, what my forefathers taught me. My father told me that the Idoma people, they are from Kwarafa Kingdom. That will come from Kwarafa Kingdom. Where is Kwarafa Kingdom? Kwarafa Kingdom they migrated from a place called Apa. Apa is in Taraba State. Kwarafa Kingdom is Taraba State. That is where Idoma is. We migrated from Apa, which is the Kwarafa Kingdom, to Benue State. We were not alone. According to what my father told me, he says the Jukum, the Idoma people, the Igala, that were all together. We live in the same place. And according to the history of what my father told me, he says Igala people are the senior brothers of Idoma people as of that time. When Juku touch Idoma people, that Igala will come and fight for his junior brother and say, why are you beating my junior brother? So there will be crisis between Jukun and Igala. So we migrated from Taraba State. Then there's a village there called Apa. Is that the same Apa now? We have one of the local government in Idoma land that is called Apa local government. After Apa, you go to Agatu local government. So we migrated from Taraba to Benue to Makodi. Then from Makodi, we now migrated to Utukpo. Utukpo is the first local government of Idoma land. First local government.
All right, you guys. So that's the information deal with the tribes in Nigeria from my ancestry, from my genetic DNA info. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for tuning in, watching. Thank you for tuning in, looking at the history about Matilda McCrear. Make sure you guys look into the sources that I posted up earlier. Also, if you have not done your DNA test, I will encourage you to do so you can find out your lineage, your background, your history, or whatnot, and you can be able to share it to those loved ones around you and encourage them to do the same thing. Okay. So it doesn't hurt. Don't get into the foolery that people tell you that DNA tests are not real. They're false or whatnot. Don't go for the okey doke because those individuals, they don't have the courage. Okay. They don't have the courage. I'm gonna tell you that. So please make sure you guys study more into information. I mean, I don't know how to stress it. What more can I really say? You gotta look up the information for yourself. But yes, I encourage everyone to really take a DNA test to find out about their lineage, about their bloodline, history, etc. All right. So until next time, may peace and power and elevation be to all you beautiful folks. And I will keep you guys informed, and I will let you guys know when the next video will be. So please be safe. All right. Out. Deuces, I go. Oh, before I close up, I want to say rest in peace to DJ Unk. Yeah, rest in peace to DJ Unk, man. I will do a video about him later, but may he rest in peace.